we are so back. Change of pace here. I'll be doing a news recap once a week, Saturday nights, just busting out the biggest stories of the week in one full swoop. It is Saturday, July 11th, 2026. My name is Jake Maaske, and this is the Debateless News Recap. Follow us at Debateless on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, YouTube. We're everywhere now. And let's just get right into it with our first story. So first off, we have an update on the Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing. Tyler Robinson allegedly confessed to an ex-roommate and lover after Charlie Kirk's shooting. Evidence just keeps piling up, and it's rather obvious at this point that yes, Tyler Robinson is a left-wing Antifa lunatic, and that he did kill Charlie Kirk, and no, Benjamin Netanyahu didn't have orders for him to be killed. We can drop that now. This is just what Antifa does, okay? Antifa is their own entity. They ruin everything. It's a mentally ill mosh pit. This is just how they operate, sporadically and out of nowhere. Now, I understand where previous suspicions came from. There were some odd coincidences. There's a reason I didn't pipe up about it, just because I didn't know. And it just caused right-wing infighting, which was a major problem. But at this point, the Israel allegations are just a red herring. We got to get back on track when it comes. If you actually care about Charlie Kirk, it's about defeating the left, uplifting each other, and coordinating the right. He was really good at that. He was a coalition builder. And so far, the left is victorious in this battle. They still meme him, mock him relentlessly to this day. And we need to remind them why they shouldn't. But there is more to come on Tyler Robinson in the future that is ongoing. Our next story. This was a week ago, but I decided to throw it in here anyway because it is rather important. The Supreme Court struck down Trump's executive order in a 5-4 vote to not grant citizenship to children born in the U.S. if their parents were here unlawfully or temporarily, aka anchor babies, trying to stop anchor babies getting born here, getting citizenship, even though when they shouldn't. This would challenge the 14th Amendment. That was the goal here. And this is one of the bigger subjects Trump ran on, America for Americans, right? So, this is why this is a pretty prominent story here. And we all know it gets abused relentlessly. Everyone wants to be here. Everyone wants to get their kids in here, get free shit, become Americans on paper without really spiritually doing so. And in addition, politically, this is huge because Democrats desperately need this to not get approved because they are slowly but surely turning into the party for the third world. They've openly admitted it before. They know that if more and more immigrants keep coming in, those are future voters for them. So the Republican Party has a massive incentive to stop it by any means necessary. And of course, with the headline here, Trump is requesting a rehearing. There are rumors, as of right now, they're just rumors, that Amy Coney Barrett may flip her vote, might go 5-4 the other way, but nothing is guaranteed here. We'll see how it goes in the near future. Hopefully I have something for you relatively soon. Our next story, this one is so unfortunate. Nolan Wells, an 18-year-old who drowned. This has made waves throughout social media. Breakdown is that he was partying on an island with some friends. They're 18, all a bunch of 18-year-olds. Friends ended up leaving him alone because he was with a girl, so they were not watching over him before he died. But that is what you do, when your friend is flirting with a girl. You let him do his thing. You stay out of the way. No guy wants his friends to be messing around with him while he's trying to flirt. That's just what you do. And unfortunately, there have been rumors circulating all over the internet that the friends of Nolan killed him without a shred of evidence. It is all malarkey at this point. And unfortunately, his friends had been doxxed by Black America. Parents doxxed. A lot of doxing going on, so parents have been lawyering up. There was even a GoFundMe created for the Wells family. I do not think this was out of charity or good faith. I think this is just how the culture war moves nowadays. You fund what you support, what you believe in. This is something going on both sides of the political spectrum. But point is here, the demand for white on black racism and violence exceeds the supply tremendously. You would not have this blow up if it wasn't as it did. It is just simple. Like, there is evidence now showing that white people are the least racist in the world, and it isn't even close. But we have this victimization complex that encourages all sorts of minorities, not just Black America, to want to point the finger at whitey as much as they can. You know, it's like the George Floyd fallout right now, what's going on, because there was so much political pressure at the time, linguistic pressure, financial pressure. Because that was the thing, reparations, that was the big argument. That is the goal, end goal, beyond just overall cultural dominance, is financial dominance as well, even though it's undeserved. But I think this story, if anything, because the Carmelo Anthony ordeal didn't work, they tried to rally around Carmelo Anthony. Well, there was footage of him mindlessly stabbing Austin Metcalf in his tent and then fleeing as if he was in trouble. But the demand could not be more obvious. That is, it is exceeding the supply. White on black racism and violence. Like always, pray for the victims and their families. This is just a super unfortunate event, and it really is a shame that it blew up as much as it did in such malicious, with such malicious activity surrounding it. Just not a good scene. Wish I didn't have to talk about it, but it is one of the biggest stories of the week, culturally and societally. Now moving on. This one is just goofy. This is a silly one, but this one also made waves. Activists demand Black English to be taught in California preschools. Whatever the hell that means. Well, I think we know what that means. Give you a brief description here. The Black Californians United for Early Care and Education is part of a movement to challenge, quote-unquote, harmful language hierarchies and affirm Black English as a legitimate rule-governed language rooted in Black history, culture, and community. This push here is just self-demeaning, man. Like, we know they pronunciate words differently. Like, this is not new news here. But to teach it, you know, this is just, I don't think anything is going to come through with this. This is just classic modern education system happenings. I really don't see this pulling through because, related, ACT scores are at the lowest they've been nationwide this century. This would just facilitate it even further. Really goofy story here. Black English. Why? I'm moving on. I'm going to pause this guy. Unfortunately, we have stories of New York City churches being firebombed. And on the other side of this, I wanted to add this as well about Philadelphia mosques being firebombed. So this is just highlighting religious tensions in the Northeast. Churches have been getting burned all over North America and the rest of the West for quite a few years. 5 to 6-ish years it's been, since pretty much the floodgates were opened in the United States at the border. You've seen, unfortunately, a lot of churches catch on fire. And, you know, the media will report it like, oh, it was just spontaneous combustion. Like, no, it was not. People are doing this. This is part of the culture war, the religious war, soft war is a part of the culture war as well. And this is just the activity that comes with it, unfortunately. And the mosques part, it's become predictable. Not that I am telling you to do this. Got to throw that in there. But it's very predictable, just given, you know, the response. You know, people get very upset when you burn their churches down. And unfortunately, they feel the need to put the punch back. Also predictable in general. Like, this is just the nature of Islam. They're imperialist. That is what they do. They tell us to our faces, you are going to submit to Allah. You know, every knee will bow. We're taking over. They'll cheer on Great Replacement. It's so tiring. But as a collective, they have no desire to assimilate. It's all about domination. They want to dominate the United States. assimilation is a farce when it comes to these people. They truly do not care about America. But yeah, you just push the pendulum one way, comes back just as hard. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of this in the future. This is just the state of the United States in 2026 and probably 2027. Moving on. J.D. Vance, this is kind of a white pill here, leading a federal investigation into H1B visa fraud. And already there's been dozens of subpoenas. They've already been issued targeting employers and labor brokers who are allegedly abusing the system to undercut American wages and bypass regulations. It was coming in due time. Indians, in particular, have been playing the system for too long and not hiding it. You know, once they get into a corporation, they climb the ladder, and then once they're high enough, they'll fire Americans. You know what an American is. And then they'll hire their whole extended family, even though none of them are qualified. It's very blood and soil behavior. They don't care about America as a collective. They just want to exploit it, and they've been allowed to. They've most certainly been allowed to. Before 2025, who imagined all of the fraud that had been going on? Just ignored. Did you even hear the word fraud once during the Biden administration? You know they were doing it. And it's not just the H1Bs either. It's people from all over the world that would love to exploit America. They hate us, pretend to like us, and just try to financially rip us as fast and, lucky for us, as loud as they can, because some of them don't hide it very well. So this was always going to happen. And so it's great. It's a great thing that this is happening. Like, finally, like, they shouldn't be getting away with this. And it didn't used to be like this, by the way. It didn't used to be this way. We used to get the best. We used to get the best of the best. That was kind of the idea of the H1B program, to strengthen America. In the 90s, 2000s, no one really had a problem with Indian folk. Not at all. They were known as like these tech nerds that were good at their jobs. But now that they're coming in hordes and they're bringing their entire families with an attempt to bleed us dry, narrative started shifting. It isn't like that anymore. It's a lot more negative toward the Indian people, and I'm not surprised. But I wish J.D. Vance luck in his endeavors here. Thank you, Lord. It's finally happening. The H1B visa crackdown, fraud crackdown. It's been a long time coming. On to our next story. Ceasefire, once again, over. Shocker. This is not new. There were 90 targets struck on Wednesday in Iran via the United States. And we're just kind of moving along in the conflict at this point. You know, it's like, we've been doing this for months now. This dance has been going on for months now. I mean, further details here. Iran is struggling to sell oil right now. If you haven't noticed, oil prices have dropped pretty dramatically from their previous highs. In addition, we've had some secret operations where we snuck out many boatloads of oil. If you notice, that's another reason why gas prices aren't as bad as they were in recent history. But yeah, the cycle of ceasefires beginning and ending continues. I still stick to my case that this will end late summer to early fall. Again, we've heard this time and time again. I just don't see Iran being able to hold up for too much longer. I would be shocked if this bled into 2027. Sure, it is possible. I'm not saying this is guaranteed. My prediction is guaranteed. But that's just where I see this going. Now, Mexico. Oh, Mexico. They want criminal investigations after a man was killed by ICE recently. Officials announced in Mexico City that 14 Mexicans have died while in Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody, and another 3 have been killed by ICE. This announcement came 2 days after Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was fatally shot by ICE in Houston after ramming his van into an ICE vehicle. Oh, man. Reports have shown that he had lived here for 35 years, never tried to gain citizenship, was living pretty well off. There is a picture of him in a nice-looking house that made people shake their heads. I mean, I'm good riddance. Like, what do you want me to say? Don't agitate ice. Don't run your vehicle into ice. You will survive. You will not die. They will not shoot you. I thought we learned this in Minneapolis earlier this year. Guess not. He was probably protesting on behalf of those people. It's very simple. If you hate America, I mean, I guess at least it's showing us who hates America. And we're getting rid of them. I suppose, I mean, that's a little malicious, but that's just what it is. You lived here for 35 years. Didn't try to get citizenship. Is that assimilation? Is that what assimilation looks like? 35 years, not even trying? No, it definitely isn't. It makes me think, too, just in general, about how Mexico is generally a rat shit geographical neighbor, and they just have the gall to request a criminal investigation. If they truly cared about the Mexican people, they wouldn't be so resistant to do their part on the border, which they don't. They just neglect it. I mean, they're happy to see people come into the United States. Doesn't affect them. They get rid of people, right? Good news is, I don't think they're going to like what happens next in the near future. But before I go into that, here is kind of a little bit of an example, to an extent here with our next story about just reports of Marco Rubio running Venezuela from behind the scenes. Rubio, and I quote, effectively controls Venezuela's finances, the distribution of natural resources, and its government, according to interviews with more than a dozen officials and people close to both governments in Washington and Caracas. We have essentially been puppeting them since we took care of Maduro, which I'm thinking great. I mean, this is what the future is coming to internationally. For international operations, we are going to be shifting our focus into the American supercontinent. This is not headline news. This is not many people are reporting about what's going on in the America supercontinent. But it's very real because our focus, the idea is that our focus is going to rotate as we leave the Middle East. What we are desperately trying to get out of the Middle East, that is part of the Iran operation. Like, you kind of can see the prologue of this American supercontinent operation with Venezuela, and then coming to Cuba. Cuba, rolling blackouts. Cuba's in danger. I will say that. We are the danger here. We will definitely be going after Cuba in the near future. That's the prologue. In addition, alliances are being expanded. You got the Shield of Americas. You know, it's just an American supercontinent alliance with many Latin America countries joining it. Colombia just joined in late June. That's one of the more recent ones. As they expand, this is happening as they expand all over Latin America, as right-wing governments start to take over. You know, another example, Panama is a part of it, right? So Panama had left-wing leadership in 2024. And now, in addition, this isn't necessarily just Shield of Americas. This is more just the idea of what's going on down there. Leadership has voiced about how they want to mimic El Salvador, in the sense of like how they handled their crime and gang crackdown. El Salvador, debatably the safest country. Don't quote me on this. It is one, I'll say this. It's one of the safest countries now in the America supercontinent because of their massive prison system. In addition, the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, aka the HCCC, was established in March 2026. That's where we circle back to Mexico when I said they aren't going to like what's coming. Because it also keeps getting expanded. Mexico, run by the cartels, are not a part of this. And they will undoubtedly be targeted in the near future. I don't know what it's going to look like, but in some way, shape, or form, we will be messing around in Mexico in the near future. Most likely not until after the Iran war has concluded. But looking into the future here, America's supercontinent is going to be where it's at. And then finally, I thought I'd end it with this because I haven't talked about this at all. This is news. The World Cup, come on. It's one of the greatest events on planet Earth. It's like a social experiment where you get people from all over the world proudly supporting their country. It's sick. I'm not going to pretend like it isn't. I'm not even a huge soccer guy, but it's so cool. It's very cool to just see each country their own unique way experiencing America. You know, you'll see videos everywhere. There's Korean men enjoying barbecue and then body surfing on top of like the Mexican people. You got Norway doing their row in Times Square. I was personally in Kansas City for Argentina versus Algeria. It was just so cool. You can't pretend that it wasn't. Like, it's just the world actually coming together for this entertainment event. But you can't not admire it. Some other breakdowns here, because this is my favorite part, because everyone realized that we rule. The United States of America rocks. You had Canada was a disappointment by fans. Mexico, plenty of reports of them just being rude and hostile, not as well kept of a country, duh. Reports of fans of outside countries like having verbal assault chucked at them left and right. Mexican fans actively trying to disrupt opposing teams by making noise all night long outside of their hotels. Still lost to England, though. Sucks to suck. In the Azteca, by the way, Mexico doesn't lose in that stadium until England took care of business. So good riddance to Mexico. But yeah, most importantly, everyone realized how awesome we are here in America. We are sick. We are friendlier. Our vast culture nationwide. You can't tell me that isn't true. You think New York is anything like Texas? You think Texas is anything like Florida? You think Florida is anything like Washington State and Seattle? No. We're America. We're an empire. The coolest and best empire, not only in the West, but in the world. Hell, there was even a report, this is a few weeks back, but I'm going to throw this in here because this is crazy, of a German man. He was crying tears of joy on camera in an interview because he thought our country was garbage, rude, and violent due to propaganda by German media, which is insane. He was very happy, by the way. He was very satisfied with his experience, his American experience. I'm happy for him. He's crying tears of joy. Like, isn't that amazing? Everyone was so nice to me. These are the things he's saying. He had a ball. But let's zero in on the German media part, because that's just, completely wipes that narrative. I think a lot of good was done for our PR worldwide, when people are actually here and not just hearing the most violent and sick stories that happen in our massive empire. Just a reminder, European propaganda is garbage. That's the thing. They just try to make us look as bad as possible. No, that's not reality. That's not reality, not one bit. We rule. We are awesome. People love us. Come to America. Visit us. Our bread is stale and circus is boring. Sick of that. Not in America. Maybe overseas. Our bread is sweet. Our circus is awesome. You say what you want about American empire. I know that's like, how you keep people in control. Give them bread and circus. Well, we do it best. That's just how it is. Soccer's like our 5th, 6th, 7th biggest sport. We still crush. And what brings it all together here, this is what really I'm talking about how I love all the cultures, right? Very lib of me. But what brings it all together, everyone eventually goes home to where they came from. That's what makes every culture special. That's what makes it theirs. That's what makes America mine, ours. Is that from the land they came from, that is the country. A country is its people. The people come here representing their country, sharing their culture. Very cool. We get to observe it. We get to have fun with it. But then they go home. And that's where they maintain it. And that's what really brings it all together. That's what makes it special. Would it be so fun if everybody had multiculturalism all over the world and there just was no singular culture anymore? It was just one big mush. Or there would be a singular culture. It wouldn't. That's not even a real thing. It would just be a mush, a cultureless mush. Imagine if there were Indians and Chinamen and Arabians and Europeans and Africans all living in Colombia, for example. Would that make Colombia very Colombian? No, it would not. They would be a lot less Colombian. You can say the same thing about the United States. America is for Americans. Argentina is for Argentinians. Mexican for Mexicans. every country's like that. So everyone gets to go home. Everyone's happy. The United States rules. That's just all I got. We rule. That's it. And that's all I got today. Thank you for tuning in to the Debateless News Recap. I'll see you next Saturday. Follow us at Debateless, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, YouTube. Check out Matt Forney's interview with Cremu on YouTube or Rumble as well. Interesting stuff going on there. Talking a little bit about genetics. Talking about pit bulls a little bit. It's an interesting one. Of course, have a great week and stay blessed.